Hey, beautiful people, how's it going? Michael Wright here.
And I'm Nick Dangeli, and welcome to the Doesn't Make the Cut podcast. If you're new here, we're an Indigenous film TV review podcast that you can watch on YouTube, listen on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
When I have the time, I'm either an AD, sometimes producer, sometimes PA, kind of a jack of all trades. I stay away from camera because that shit's intense.
It is, man. It is. It's so much intense that I like being in front of the camera. And I'm in the film industry. I'm an actor, model, film director, and screenwriter working on my own production company, Dangeli Productions.
Give us a like, comment, subscribe, share. You have no idea how much that helps the channel.
We would like to acknowledge we're bringing this podcast to you on the traditional unceded Coast Salish territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Swellituth nations. We thank our Coast Salish relatives for allowing us to live, work, and podcast in their traditional territory.
And today's episode, we are talking about Reservation Dogs, a retrospective review of Season 1.
Season 1 of Reservation Dogs, man. So, man, what's your overall thoughts on Season 1 Reservation Dogs? You finally just finished that one, huh?
I did, yeah. Non-spoilers, I'm going to say that I love this series. I can't wait for Season 2 to be accessible. My guess is we might not be able to see that till November, maybe December. If that's the case, I'm willing to wait that long. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, the characters, they're all very relatable. And to an extent, this really does feel like a South Park, except Res Edition.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Yeah, no, dude, it is an amazing watch. Like the comedy in it makes you just feel just so many emotions, And this is a series about teenagers growing up a reservation over in eastern Oklahoma. It's another Hulu original series, but like Mike was saying, for us living over in Canada, we gotta wait a little bit for at least for Season 2 to be popping. I know Season 2 is currently active right now. They got a few episodes out. Actually, half the season's already almost out. Yeah, for Season 1, my goodness, it brought in so much humor, so much in a very positive way, how majority of life is on a reservation. And like the universal language that, like, it just reminded me so much of so many family members. You're absolutely right, Mike. Like this show was just so relatable and had an amazing cast, amazing writing. Like the directing was really well done. Like it was such a freaking amazing joy to watch on this.
No, absolutely. Writing, razor sharp, and they tackled a lot of heavy themes in here as well. Like, but obviously we're not going to spoil anything too much. So there is a trigger warning to some serious issues that is in this show. So one of which did catch me off guard, where even though there was a warning, I still was surprised and shocked that imagery was there.
Yeah, me too. And I think it was a really nice message on a deep reality. It like just spoke on so many levels.
Absolutely. And there's there's a lot of fun moments here. There's some moments where there was a lump in my throat, and no, there's again, like, it's both wholesome and heartbreaking at the same time. A lot of it did make me reminiscent to my childhood, and actually did grow up on the res myself, so a lot of it was very reminiscent to how I was as a kid.
Yeah. Oh man, exactly. That's the vibes I felt too, man. Like, man, I've seen the Season 1 at least 5 or 6 times rewatching
Nice.
it. And it came out like last summer. Yeah, dude, like this is it takes me back so much on things, and even adding, like, how a lot of things are, I don't know, like you hear a lot of like the words that are universal around over in indigenous ways of like Skoden and a lot of the, I don't know,
A lot
man.
of swearing.
Oh yeah, oh
Like
yeah.
these kids swear like a sailor, but you know, if you're on the res, yeah, the people will are very uncompromising, very generous with the word fuck. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's really awesome, and I loved how in each episode, like you start the beginning and end, you see all the characters, but then
mhm.
you're able to have these individual storylines with each of the characters, and I love that. Like the development, like you explored that. There's so much going on here, and like the kids in here are wanting to save up to go to California. You know, it's like their journey on that, and reflecting on their time there, and it explores all aspects. You know, it even like goes into like talking about like a lot of the supernatural beings,
Mhm.
and you know, yeah, like what Mike was saying about, you know, it deals in some heavy topics, um, with also delivering a really amazing amount of humor, because that's how it is, man. It's like, you know, the biggest thing you'll see with our indigenous people is our humor,
Mhm.
and you know, the way that we share about that, and it's amazing to see that in a series that is so loved, and it has it's really in amazing hands as well. You have like Sterling Harjo as one of the writers, as well as, I mean, there's Taika Waititi
Mhm.
attached to the project as well.
I'm pretty sure that's what helped sell the show quite a bit because a lot of people do love Taika Waititi. Um, yeah, so it's kind of like Brock Lesnar that helped the UFC, where he brought his audience to that platform.
Yeah, which is, you know, I think is in a good route, especially, you know, having somebody who's like, who's kind of like that, a name in there, like in terms of a Hollywood sense,
Mm-hmm.
and tell, you know, and bringing that upon everyone else, you know, to bring it up to a certain level. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, um, man, even the casting in this, like these, like,
No, the kids got a lot of chemistry. You could really
yeah,
believe that they are like childhood best friends.
yeah, oh man, so many, and like and so, oh man, the music they had in this, like the sound design, like, I really enjoyed this, and you know, definitely, if you haven't seen it yet, go and see it. There's about, for season one, there is about, oh, what is this, about 8 episodes.
No, it's fairly digestible. You could easily squeeze that in an afternoon.
Oh yeah.
So non-spoiler rating, I'm gonna say yes, it does make the cut. A very rare rating that I give. And obviously, I do love the show. You have not seen it. Yes, I to bounce off of what Nick is saying. It's a good time. It really is. It's really fun to watch. It's very balanced with the drama, the comedy, and the heart, and the good feels that and the wholesome moments that are in there.
I'd say it makes the cut. It is, yeah, it is a very fun time. It's a very, yeah, oh my goodness, and you know, it yeah, I mean, even if you had that experience of living on your reservation, like you'll feel that you're reminiscing, and I found myself doing that so many times, or even with the characters, like, oh my god, I know someone like that, or you know, and like it's really, it's very wholesome. It's real. Yeah, so it definitely makes the cut. Like we said, this first half is a non-spoiler, and then we'll be getting into more spoilers.
Spoilers. So, final warning: if you have not seen it yet, click out and come back in and join us on the discussion here. So, last warning: spoiler alert! Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. So, I think that should be enough time for people. Um, Right, spoiler section. So, I do want to go into the columns first, just so I can get the negative shit out of the way. There were some plot lines that were fairly predictable, and some predictability is fine. Because you know what to expect. You can see the cliches, and sometimes tropes actually work, but sometimes it's just like, well, I already know what's going to happen because I've seen this play out dozens of times already. And the one I'm talking about is episode 4, What About Your Dad? Like, right from the get-go, I already knew that Bear's father was not going to show up. There's a catch-20 here, because there is a sad reality that, deadbeat dads do not show up.
It can be sometimes that is it is a reality, and no, I could see that. Yeah, I kind of was thinking the same thing too, but there was that. Yeah, some like a bit of plot holes, but also I think some room, to further certain things. Hopefully in like future seasons. There was only one piece on my part that just really caught my attention, and I don't know, I'm not sure how to depict it. So it's episode 6 with the hunting one. I really enjoyed it. I did
too. It was fun.
The only part, and I think for me, was just the supernatural being that was in the forest.
The tall man, yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe because I just had my production cap on or whatnot, but it was hard for me to try to get into that believability. Like I with it being like that, I would get it, but
I think the problem is it showed too much. Like, all I saw was a guy in a ghillie suit with red eyes. I think it could have went with just more subtlety, like just this tall guy, but all you see is the red eyes. I think that would have been far more creepy than just seeing a guy in a ghillie suit.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause that's what I was seeing on there.
Yeah. One other. Sorry, excuse me. One other. I do want to talk about plot holes, actually. Well, not really a plot hole, but something that wasn't really explored. And if that's the case, then obviously it probably will go into season 2. But when Willie Jack took some strands of hair from Jackie, and she wanted to put like a curse or a hex on Jackie, and there's a guy in a bar that says, "I'll take care of it." It never went anywhere.
Ooh, man, see, that's what I was saying with the future ones. I don't know if that'd be even more spoiler territory, but I will say in season 2 they do expand a bit more on that.
Oh, they do? Okay, in that case, never mind. All right, so I retract what I said then. I've yet to see what happened in season 2.
I was able to see the first 2 episodes of season 2 when I was over in Alaska there. So yeah, but I totally get it though. Like, when you watch that first season, like, you kind of just like, okay, like, what's gonna happen? Like, there's like at least was at least like mid-season when they did that, and you don't really see
that
much
was
going on.
episode 3, so it was fairly early on that happened.
Yeah. No, that makes sense though. That makes sense of with that. I think that's the when we're talking about in the non-spoilers, where it's like, they tackle each episode. You're kind of in like this own confined story.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the
that was fairly episodic.
Yeah. So it's hard when it comes to like a lot of times where it's like, you expect something to come through on that, and later on or in the next episode or 2, but it doesn't. And
no, it doesn't.
Yeah. So
if that was the case, that they should have put that in season 2. That'd be a critique of mine. But at that point, if it does come in season 2, great. But even still, if people saw that year and they're expecting something to happen, it didn't happen. One final negative I do want to talk about is sometimes the flashbacks aren't really clear that it is a flashback. It's not until see these scenarios play out a little more, like, oh, this is in the past. I thought it was present.
Oh, like a more of a transition. or
Yeah, like just more of a transition. Sometimes like it's just this really harsh transition, and I'm really confused. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, it's a flashback. Okay.
no, that makes sense. And so sometimes like a good way of, even if you're not wanting to do like, oh, this is a flashback, like a full like a, whether it's like a transitional edit, but even like the look of things, whether having like the day, like the modern, like the current time in a different like tone, and
Mm-hmm.
in the past another different tone, whether it's like a darker shade or, yeah, no, I get that, because I had a couple moments like that too, where I was like watching and I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden there's like that, and then it goes back to current time.
Yeah,
um
that kind of wraps up all my negatives. Overall, I still love the series. I still love the show. I can't wait for season two. It'll be like a good month or two wait. That's all right. Thankfully, there's other content to watch.
well worth it, though.
Well worth it. So positives for you. What's the your favorite part of the series?
My, oh, so many, man, so many.
So many.
There's certain characters like Uncle Brownie, played by Gary Farmer. Dude.
Legend.
Yeah, yeah, man. Oh man, they even have freaking Wes Studi in here. Like, oh, so many shocks. And like, oh, one of my other favorite characters was the tribal cop Big. Oh man.
I fucking love him. Yeah, like my favorite introduction to Uncle Brownie is you literally see all these like potholes in the middle of his lawn, and my internal question is like, what are you doing? And then like he digs out like this 20 or 30 year old weed, and I'm just like, oh, that's what you're doing. So
Yeah. Oh man, he's trying to go and try to sell it, and everyone's like, "Oh man, this is dank ass weed."
yeah, even the clerk there in the dispensary just like harsh, just really harsh. So,
Yeah. Oh man. But like, is it? You know, we were talking earlier. It's like just everyone's chemistry, like from all like the main cast, like Alora, Bear, Willie Jack, Cheese. Oh man, like they had such good chemistry with each other that everything they said was just so freaking. It was either hilarious, heartfelt, like oh man, and even like just the characters around, like the two brothers riding on the bikes, the rappers.
fucking awesome. I love them.
Yeah, oh man, like I did enjoy like the Bear's mom, you know, when she had her plot story, you know, when she was like talking to like the different versions of herself. I thought
Oh
that was
yeah,
really
the
cool.
good evil, the good and quote unquote evil, but sometimes they just align with each other. And it's funny, like in episode one, she's like, I gotta find me a doctor. She finds the doctor, but he's a 10, but he's a Confederate. So
Yeah. Oh man, like this is, oh man, in just the episodes they pull out are, you know, it's hard to target like what exactly the, oh man, I forgot to even mention too, they had freaking Bill Burr in one of the episodes too.
I fucking love Bill Burr. Like
Oh man.
no, like that surprised me when I saw him. Like, holy shit, it's fucking Bill Burr. So
Yeah. Dude, and it just like, if I were to just to say the one thing that I absolutely loved about this show and in season 1 is just hands down the writing. The writing was just, it was on par, man. You know, man, just,
there's
dude.
a lot of love and care that was put into the series, and it really does show. Because writing, like at the end of the day, like writing literally is the backbone of anything. Whether if it's writing of a game, writing of a movie, TV series, and what have you. So it's essential. It's important, and here you can really tell that they put in a lot of time to make sure this show will succeed, and succeed it did.
Oh yes, it definitely did. I mean, even coming down to so much detail, everything they had in there. You know, like we were talking on our last episode of Prey. You know, where like, you know, everything that you see has that meaning, and even into like their titles. Like you read their titles of their episodes is like, I don't know, man. It's so awesome. Like, what about your dad? Like, you know, or like, fucking Res Dogs. Like, you know, like, oh dude, like it's just, it not only was did very well with the writing and the casting, but also just like the overall, the storytelling that they were having. Like, you know, you have your individual stories and you have your big main story. Each of them was able to tackle a certain perspective and a certain topic, you know, that needs to be shared a lot more. You know, you're talking like the supernatural beings that we see, whether it's Deer Woman, whether it's Tall Man. You also see like the spirit of their friend that passed, Daniel. You know, and even to the unfortunate way that he passed. You know.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of mystique there as well, like especially with the Deer Lady, where it's just like you could tell that Big believes in the Deer Lady, and at first, like it kind of left it to the audience whether it was just a child's imagination and there's just a vigilante running around,
Mhm.
but obviously, like it is a spirit that is punishing the wicked, and even with Daniel, like they don't hold your hand, like they don't outright say Dan killed himself because of this, and they give hints as to what was going on, and unfortunately, he was a victim of bad household
Bad household and
and whether
mental
any kind of
health.
abuse that he may have had.
Abuse, mental health, like it you know, targeted that into, um, you know, talking about the unfortunate thing of suicide.
Yeah,
And
and it affects everyone. Like, and we do see the aftermath of that, of people being affected by this. Like literally everyone. Like in, I think that's in season finale,
mhm.
where they do address like the community hasn't been the same since that day. You know, it was my parents' anniversary. They didn't feel like celebrating because of this, but I want to stay XYZ. So a lot of heart in this show, and I do want to take a moment to talk about the other bullies. Like they were not one-dimensional bullies. Like they are actually layered, and sometimes like you that which is absolutely true because sometimes they're just dumb kids that think that they are gangster. But when push comes to shove and you see that they're ready to fight, you could tell that they're really hesitant. They're like, oh shit, we're actually doing this. So
Yeah, no, man, that's you know, you nailed it on the head. That's what I loved about each of these characters is that there were layers. Yeah, you know, yeah, especially with like their little gang warfare they're trying to have. Like that's how, you know, when you look at some, you know, they're considering that, you know, the characters themselves are all teenagers, and you know, and like, oh, I love that. And you know, just having those layers on things, and not making a person so like, yeah, one dimensional. um that's something that, you know, you're absolutely right. Like it was a nice thing to see, a nice thing to like to feel too. um
yeah,
the
um,
the one big thing that I wanted to mention was oh, what is his name? He was in the 1491s. He was
oh, William Knifejack.
yeah. Oh man, dude.
Like, the obvious answer is like yes, he's my favorite character, but um, I was gonna, but my favorite character, if I were to say, I'm gonna say Big is my favorite character, but William Knifejack is hilarious. Like he steals every scene that he's in, and like it's funny. Like he's from the past, but he speaks very modern.
Yeah. Like, oh, young warrior. I call one of the youth I worked for. I'd call them young warrior,
Oh,
just
that's
from
cute.
that. Yeah, Because it's just like, oh man, yeah, like, just that being a spiritual guide in a sense. Um, I just love that they kind of flipped the script on so many things that, you know, that it just, I don't know, it's a very nice touch and a nice thing to showcase in the show. Like, yeah, no, this is how it can be. And especially when it's like when the characters are dealing with non-indigenous characters, like their reaction to a lot of things is on point, and it just took me back to so many interactions I've had before, very similar. And it was just
Very similar.
yeah, right. It was a nice. It was just, oh man, it was so nice to see this, and it's such a freaking joy that, yeah, this is a series that, it's very rare for me. Like I love TV shows. Sometimes like they can be very draining when you watch something,
But this is a huge commitment.
yeah, it can be. And like for something like this, it just felt, I don't know, is one of those shows that you can just binge watch over and over again. Like I'm trying to think of like a series that it reminds me of that I just watch continuously, and it just makes you feel a certain feeling. And this is one of those shows. Like I said, I've seen this season 1 at least 6 times, over and over.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I genuinely can't wait for season 2. I think that's about everything I want to mention. Like overall, like it is a fairly digestible season. Like you really can get this done in an afternoon. Just pop a beer, order some pizza, and watch how the res is.
Yeah. Oh, and it's so much fun watching it with like, some family or some friends, because it's just like, I don't know, especially those who had that experience, or like it just, I don't know, it just added a really nice touch. Like I know Devon and I, we were laughing our asses off just because it was just like, oh, such a good time. And
It is. It's I do see big things for the kids. Yeah, I do see them being like huge stars, because as of right now, like we need more Indigenous talent out there.
Yeah, exactly. You see a huge future for everyone here, and just like the vast talent that this has, the ensemble cast that this has. Amazing. And I hope they make it to many seasons, and we can look at so many stories on this. I'm hoping one day, man, that you and I were able to work on this show too.
We have to move to the East Coast then.
Hell yeah, man, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down too. Yeah, but rating obviously hasn't changed. It does make the cut, and I will reiterate: go ahead and watch it. You will not be disappointed, and I wholeheartedly recommend this series. It is genuinely a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. I'm in full agreement with you. It makes the cut. It makes all the cuts. Finalize it. It's a damn joy. It's a damn joy.
It is. And you know what? If you stuck this long, I appreciate you. I love you. And you know what? Give us a like. Subscribe. Be part of the conversation. Don't be afraid to comment. There's a lot of people out there. Don't be shy. Come on. We want to build a community here.